Hello, everyone. Welcome to the intro to Jaw-Dropping Customer Experience. Create an unforgettable client experience with your MAPS coach, Peter Chabris. So we are so excited to have you on this webinar today. Please note this webinar is being recorded. The recording will be sent out by the end of the day today to all attendees and those that missed the webinar. So feel free to share that link, the recording, with anyone in your market center that you think might find this a topic of interest. If you have questions for Peter, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have questions for us, you can email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's FASTTRACK@kw.com. And that's all for me. So, Peter, you can take it away.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for taking some time out of your day, especially as we start to get into peak season here, to think about working on your business instead of working in it, and really evaluating the concept of not just customer service, but customer experience. And I think over the last 10 years or so, the concept of customer service has kind of been relegated to the side a little bit with all the technological changes and scaling opportunities that have come with technology. And what's interesting is that when you think about Mega Live last year and then Family Reunion this year, there's been a real shift, an intentional shift by Gary and the leadership at our company to come back to service and relationship with your database. And that kind of mirrors the journey that I've taken in our sales team's evolution as we went from being very much a grinded out, cold calling kind of an organization that pivoted and found the importance of the customer experience and long-term relationships with our clients, and wound up increasing our business 33%, 64 units, $16 million in volume, with 2 less salespeople in the course of 12 months. And it was really kind of an aha moment for me. Yes, I'm a slow learner. It took me years to figure out that great real estate business, highly sustainable, highly profitable business, is really earning the opportunity to serve, providing a great customer experience, and then staying in relationship with your clients thereafter. So this program is about how to cultivate the right mindset around customer experience, how to systematically, that is to say consistently over time, provide a great experience to all of your clients, and then earn the right for a higher level of repeat and referral business. And repeat and referral business is the best kind. It's the highest level of trust, it's the lowest cost to acquire, and it's the most profitable business there is. So this is not a course on how to feel good with your clients. This is a course on how to create a systematically excellent customer experience. This is arguably the most elegant, subtle, and refined and profitable form of lead generation that there is in our industry. It is the technology buster, and it is the most profitable way for a long-term, highly sustainable, and enjoyable real estate career. So that's a lot of words, but this is something that's really important to me, and I'm hoping after this half hour that we spend together today, you'll take a couple nuggets right away and know if this is the right course that you want to take your business on for a long-term, sustainable, and lucrative real estate career. In terms of questions, I'm going to hold off on them to the end because this is a limited to a half-hour slot, and I want to make sure I cover the material that that I want to get to you to make sure you take something this, whether you participate in the class or not. Okay? So great. So what are the costs of a bad sale? Well, gosh, where do we start? Number one, you may have to buy the deal to keep it together, and that doesn't feel good when you lose your commission. Secondly, and this is becoming more and more important, is the potential for earning a negative online review. And this is a very interesting statistic or truth that was identified by Amazon recently. We found that consumers actually value the opinion of a stranger with an Amazon product more than they value the recommendation or the opinion of their friends. And so we've gotten to this world where even if you're referred by a friend or a family member or colleague or past client, people will still check you out online to make sure that you're legitimate and trustable before they'll actually reach out and raise their hand and ask for help. And so a negative online review, 1 or 2 of those is okay. Too many of them really can adversely impact your business. And unfortunately, I'm speaking from experience on that. This is what I call the cocktail party factor. When people get together and socialize, remember it's a lot easier to complain, and more people are 5 times more likely to complain about something than to celebrate something. And so we want to be aware that the cost of a bad sell is also that negative peer-to-peer sharing on somebody's experience. It looks like we've got, yeah, okay, great. So, and then obviously any of those 3 or 4 can yield lost referral opportunities, and that ultimately is unfortunate that when that happens. So Patty is asking what page is the presenter on? And Patty, we're actually not using any manual right now. This is just an overview of the class. So hopefully that helps you, Patty. Okay. So what's the highest margin, lowest competition source of business with acquire? Well, that's obviously repeat and referral business. And let me just ask you for a second. The average agent has somewhere between 150 and 250 people in their database. What if every client that you worked with referred you 1 sale a year? How wonderful would your business look if that were the case? So let me share some statistics with you that I think will really help frame your mindset around service. What you've got here is a scale of 1 to 100%. And what we're looking at is number of clients that you've worked with. So out of every 4 people surveyed that have done a deal with real estate agents, let me do it this way. 72% on average will say that they will work with you again. Now, there's 2 percentages here I want to point out. Number 1 to 24, only 1/4 of the people that you work with actually will use you again. And yet 72% that say they will. So that means that there's an opportunity to create a better, more memorable experience. And it also means that 28% of the people you work with, roughly a little more than 1/4, statistically won't work with you again because they had a bad experience. They may say thank you at the closing table, but there was probably some unspoken expectation that they had that you didn't meet, and you lost that referral opportunity. And guys, we work so hard as real estate agents to find the opportunity, to convert the opportunity and serve the client. If we're not systematically making sure we're providing a great experience, immediately 1 out of every 4 people we serve won't use us again. This class is about, number 1, closing that gap from 72% of clients to 100% of clients saying that it would work, and making sure that through our database follow-up system, which we'll talk about later in the class, that all 70% or really 100% do. It looks like we might be having some technical challenges here based on what I'm saying. Are people seeing changes in the slide? Do you see a chart from 1 to 100% right now?
Peter, the slides are not changing.
Okay, well, great. I'm glad we're figuring this out now. This is the best time to figure that out. Thanks, everybody, for a heads up. Why isn't that working, I wonder? Try this. Okay, can people see the slideshow now?
Yes.
You should see a line with 1 to 100%. Is that working for people?
It is working. Awesome.
Okay. Awesome, guys. I'm so sorry. Thank you, everybody, for raising your hands and saying this ain't working. Good. So we fixed that problem. Now we can talk about you and your business. Excellent. Okay, so what you're looking at, everybody, here, and I'll go a little bit over to make sure we cover all this content, is that gamut of 100 to 100. 1 of every 100 people you work with, 72 will say that they would work with you again, which means there's an opportunity to provide a greater experience because we're losing 28% of our people after we close with them. And then that 51%, that middle zone of people that said they would but don't work with you, that's our opportunity to convert a higher level from our database. It starts with providing a great, memorable experience and continues and perpetuates by continuing to provide value to your past client and Met database relationships after the closing. We're going to talk about that in depth in our program. So here's a little sneak peek that I thought you guys might appreciate from MREA 2, which Gary's going to publish just as soon as the technology solution that Keller Williams is working on at such a high level is rolled out over the next 18 to 24 months. The great news is based on their research, despite all the changes in technology, the business model really hasn't changed. Our job is to get leads for listings and then create leverage through a listings-based business and ultimately through systems, tools, and ultimately talent to create big business. What's happening is there's a lot of technology infiltration into our industry that is really challenging this triangle, this business model that we've staked our lives and our families' lives on. And so What Gary is going to propose in MREA 2 is that we build a wall around this business model, almost build a moat around this business model. And that wall, that moat, is created with three things. Number one is a strong value proposition. I think as an industry, we kind of stink at communicating our value proposition to the world, and I think that's part of the reason we're seeing a lot of pressure on our industry, because we don't communicate all the things that we do so well on behalf of our clients. So a great value proposition at an individual agent or a team level is having something that's valuable that earns you the opportunity to serve your client. So that's your ability to communicate what you do well to capture the business. The second piece, and where we're going to spend the majority of our time together over the next 8 weeks, is on service. Once you earn the right to serve somebody, you have to create an amazing experience for your clients. We are in an experience economy, and we'll go into this at depth when we work together. You must create a great experience, and the foundation of that really is service. Customer experience is so much more than just providing good customer service. Everybody expects good customer service in our world, in this day and age, in our economy. So you provide a great service, and that earns you the right to stay in touch with and earn referrals from your database. So this is really how we build a moat or a wall around our business model, and also how we stay engaged with our MET database, friends, sphere, family, clients, past clients, all that. This is it. This is how simple it is. All we need to do as an industry and as Keller Williams agents is up our service game and up our database game. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this program. Value proposition, we're not going to go there here, but that's something that we should all be able to communicate within a minute or two of when we meet somebody and we start talking about real estate. Okay, so let's talk about what average is, because you're here because you don't want to be average. So let's talk about what average is. So according to NAR, National Association of Realtors, 21% of an agent's business comes from repeat and referral business. Well, let's talk about what we want to do in this class. Number one, we want to create a superior, repeatable or scalable and referable customer experience. So if you're at that plus or minus 20% referral rate, my goal for you would be to at least double that to a 40 to 42% repeat and referral rate within the next 12 months. Now, some of you guys are going, but Peter, I'm already at 80% repeat and referral rate. Great. That is awesome. You speak my language. What I'm going to challenge you is you're doing that entrepreneurially. I want to challenge you to think more purposefully, strategically, and systematically about how you consistently deliver that great service that's earning you that 80% referral rate, because I'm willing to bet you're losing a lot of opportunity just by being entrepreneurial and not purposeful about how you deliver great service. And by doing so, guys, what is this all about? We're in business to make money, and we're in business to serve people, but it's not a business unless we're making money. And so my intention for you is to have a much more profitable and sustainable business. Database-based repeat and referable business is the most sustainable and the best margins. And finally, if we're not having fun, this is stressful enough that we don't need this to be a grind with our clients. This business that we're all part of is stressful enough. So let's intend to have better working relationship with our clients and gain more satisfaction from our work. Now, again, some of you are saying, I love my clients love me. It's all rainbows and sunshine. I love and respect those of you that have that kind of business. Again, I'm going to challenge you, think what you're missing, think of what's possible for you and your lives and your family if you scaled and systemized what you're doing so naturally. Okay? Beautiful. So let's monetize this, because this is what we're in the business of doing. So let's take an example. Let's take the total number of METs in your database. Now, I'm not talking about all the people that checked in and registered on your website or an open house. I mean the people that know who you are, know you by name, know you sell real estate, and would use you or refer you, your true MET database. And we divide that number by 10, because according to NAR, the average number of years a homeowner is going to stay in a home now is 10 years. And then multiply that by your average commission. Well, here's an example. Let's say you're 180 people in your database. Well, 1/10 of that would be 18, right? Because 1/10 of your database should be moving every year. If your average commission is $7,500, which is roughly the national average commission, that's $135,000 in gross commission income that a great customer service coupled with a great database communication program should be able to predictably churn out for your business. That to me is really exciting. Let's take it one step further. What if you took that same number of database and 1 out of every 5 people in your database, now this is aggressive, but I know people that are doing this. What if 1 out of every 5 people in your database, 20% referred you a sale every year that closed? This is where it gets crazy. 180 people, 1/5 of 180 is 36 units referred to you and closed at an average $7,500 commission. That's $270,000 in GCI. We're now talking about over 400, well, what is it? It's exactly $405,000 in gross commission income opportunity from a great high-performance customer experience and a great high-performance database touch program with just less than 200 people in a database. Now, again, this would be like Jedi Ninja grade performance, but think about what's possible with just 200 people in your database if you're providing great experiences. So, what makes a great customer experience? Let's think about that for a second. Number 1 is communication. Communication is the foundation of all customer experience and all customer service and all customer experience. And communication presents itself a couple different ways in our world. Number 1 is being aware of behavior, right? We're all familiar with the KPA and the various behavioral styles that exist within the KPA. So we want to be able to identify them quickly and speak to them in a way that they hear. Second, of course, is scripts and dialogues. That's never going away. And the third is the practice of setting expectations, of future pacing, and those are 2 different communication tools that we'll go over when we're working together, and also conflict resolution. I'd love to say that humanity is perfect and we all get along, but there's going to be conflict, especially when you've got multiple parties with conflicting interests working to get a deal together. And so we're going to talk a lot about, we spend a lot of time on expectation, future pacing, and conflict resolution to make sure that your transactions are as drama-free as possible and your clients are having the best experience possible. And then we'll talk about systems. Your first layer, your foundation is going to be great communication. Your second layer is going to be those systems. So how do we systematically create a great experience every single time? And this is where we take the deepest dive during this program. When you come out of this program, you absolutely positively should have every single step of your client's journey with you systemized to ensure top-level customer experience from start to finish. We're a system of companies. Leverage takes the form of technology, tools, systems, and talent. We're going to have all your systems mapped out if you choose to do the work during the program. So what's the system before you even meet with them? What's the system after you meet with them? What's the system while you're working with them? What's the system around closings? What's the system around collecting feedback? And what's that long-term follow-up database system? All those things we'll do a deep dive in on this program to make sure you've got a repeatable, sustainable business. And then the +1. And the +1 is really what takes it from customer service to customer experience. And that's that opportunity to delight your client in a positive, emotionally memorable way. That's what's going to earn those long-term referrals. It's kind of the magic. It's the secret sauce. And we'll talk about how to systemize the +1 and where to find those opportunities during the time that you work with your clients. Speaking of communication and systems and scripts, I'd like to talk real quick about Mike Hicks. Those of you who have been at KW for a while are familiar with Mike. Some people call him the second most powerful mustache in real estate, after Gary Keller, of course. Mike is in Idaho Falls. He's in Gary Keller's mastermind with me, and he's a friend of mine. He is an amazing, amazing business. 90% of their business is repeat and referral. Over 400 sales a year. Now, these numbers are 3 years ago. He's over 100 million now. What I didn't share in this slide, which is astounding, keep in mind they don't spend any money on marketing. They're in a town of 80,000 people. In a town of 80,000 people, they're doing over 400 sales per year in a script that they call, in a dialogue that they call the promise. And what is the promise? The promise is a commitment that they make mutually with their clients. It's an agreement that they enter with their clients where they will create an unsurpassed customer experience for their clients during the transaction, and their clients commit to providing at least one referral before closing. It's brilliant. Gary himself has said that Mike is genius for putting this thing together. And here's your sales pitch. Register today. I will email you guys a copy of Mike Hicks' promise script, even if you don't take this class, just for showing up. I think it's that important. and I would love for you guys to have that. So if you register today, please let me know, and I'll make sure that you get the promised script. Okay, now, that being said, let's take a deep dive into what makes systemized communication, because remember, communication is really the baseline, the foundation of great customer experience. We're going to be taking a lot of plays out of the Chabris Group playbook, because we went from highly transactional, highly entrepreneurial to service-based, relational-based, and we systemized everything. I am behaviorally not a relational guy. I'm a transaction guy. And so when we decided we were going to be service-based and repeat and referral-based, to me that meant we have to systemize how we do business. We need to change our systems. And so we'll be doing a deep dive in all of our systems. This is an example of one of our checklists. And yes, you can make fun of me. We still use checklists in some of our parts of our business. But what you'll see interestingly here is on this post-listing checklist, after the client signs the listing, we actually touch that client 12 times, 6 calls, 6 emails, to make sure that there is no disconnect and to make sure that we're over-communicating. Because if you're communicating well, setting expectations and meeting, exceeding, the confidence level that your client has with you, the credibility you have with them, is skyrockets, and the more you can take that leadership role, which is really the highest fiduciary service we can provide to our clients. You have to earn the right to be that high-level fiduciary where you're guiding them through the strategic decisions. And so what we do is I'll share with you guys all the scripts, all the dialogues, all the checklists, so that all you need to do is old-fashioned R&D, rip off and duplicate. And so you'll be getting plenty of opportunities to R&D all of our stuff, because I want you to implement this stuff as quickly as possible in your businesses and start moving it forward. Once we go through how to work with all the communication best practices and how we do a deep dive on rewriting your systems, then we talk about collecting feedback. And as Ken Blanchard says, feedback is the breakfast of champions. And we want to get feedback on where our systems and where our service isn't working to make sure we get those 5-star reviews and ultimately oodles and oodles of referrals. So without feedback, you can have all these great systems, but you don't know if what your systems are doing is working, and you don't know where you need to change those systems. And so like every other part of a great customer experience program, it must be systemized. And so whether you're a mega team with multiple locations or whether you're an army of one, we all need to systemize our service, and we all need to be collecting feedback on our service and make sure we're earning the right for those long-term relationships and those long-term repeat and referral gems in our database. And that's really what this business ultimately is about. And so we'll do a deep dive into how do you collect feedback, what do you ask, how do you measure it, how do you hold accountability, how do you do accountability conversations around it. Again, armies of one out there. You can still collect feedback. You can have accountability partners. You can have title companies working with you to gather it. We'll go over all of that so that everybody will leave the program with a system around service and a system around the feedback. And I'll show you examples of our feedback forms, how we collect it, when we send requests for it. All of that stuff we'll get to you. And then that comes the fun part, which is referrals. So as our wise leader says, staying in relationship with your database is the number one way to get more business. You know, it's actually interesting. We'll talk about this in the program. I'm doing this from memory, I believe 52% of all buyers and 60% of all sellers, so the majority on both sides, choose their agent based on repeat or referral. They're either use their agent again or they're referred to somebody. And interestingly, the internet, and that's going to be your Boomtown, your Zillow, your Realtor.com, Homes.com, blogging, all that stuff accounts for only 7%. And so I just want to underscore, because I learned this the hard way, your database is your business. And what is real estate? Really, it's the race to the database, and I think we're all relearning that all over again. So after we've worked hard to acquire clients, and we've worked hard to create an amazing experience, we're going to spend the last section of this program making sure that we are retaining our clients and earning lots and lots of referrals, because that's the fun part. Now, We've all heard of 36 Connect. Gary gave us the 33 Touch. You may not have heard it referred to as a 36 Connect. That's what it's going to be referred to and during MREA 2, Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2. And the goal of that is basically one sale for every 6 people in your database. It used to be called the 12 to 2. I think 1 to 6 is easier, which is about a 15% return on your database. So we're going to talk about what's a touch and how do you string these touches together and how do you figure out the phone calls in them. Why? Because technically it's a prospecting system and it's the most enjoyable, lowest cost, highest trust, highest, most profitable way of growing and ultimately sustaining your business. So when we do that, again, we're going to do a deep dive on what the Chabris Group has done because we went from, 192 transactions to 256 transactions in 12 months' time with 2 less salespeople and not one more dollar spent. And we did it by doing 2 things, overhauling our customer's experience and doing a 36 touch. Now, we ramped it up because I think more is more. So we happen to do a 45 touch. And what we'll do is we'll go through all the 45 touches that we do, and I'll show you examples of how we do them, excuse me, so that when you leave this class, you'll know how you're going to put together your 36 touch to make sure you're getting at least a 10 to 1, but arguably and preferably a 6 to 1 return on your database. That is to say, for every 6 people in your database, you're going to see a closed sale every single year. And guys, when that happens, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We'll talk about the fan club. How do you create an environment, a sense of belonging? How do you foster within your database a sense of belonging to something special? And that would be your fan club. So we'll talk about the fan club and how you may want to pursue implementing that in your business. So what's the actual agenda for this program? Well, let's go through it. We're going to start with the basics. And that's weeks 1 and 2. And that's going to be the mindset, because if mindset is always the biggest battle, if you can solve the mindset battle, then the world is your oyster. So we're going to spend some time on mindset as well as defining what exactly a customer experience is. Why are we in the customer experience economy? How do we know when we're creating a customer experience? And how do we differentiate from just plain old customer service? Then we'll talk about communication, right? Not just the behavioral stuff, but those communication tools like expectation setting and future pacing that can really minimize the friction and the resistance that we all experience with transactions and with clients. And then we'll identify who's going to be your CEO, who's your customer experience officer, who in your world, mega team or army of one, who in your world is going to bring accountability to your service that you provide to your clients. And then we'll do our deep dive. And our deep dive is going to be on the nuts and bolts of systematizing service. Guys, this is not a walk. Hang on, I don't want to freak you out. My intention is to provide the resources and the coaching and the inspiration and the energy and the resources for you to really hammer out what the nuts and bolts of your system around service is going to look like. So how does the pre and post appointment experience go for the client? How do we know it's repeatable every single time? How do we systemize the way we work with active buyers and sellers? How do we systemize a great transaction to close? What role does operations play in all this? And when I say operations, some people say administrative staff, whomever it may be that does the administrative part of your work. If it's you, we're going to talk about what you want to make sure that you're doing systematically every time, and what parts you can use leverage with your title company or loan officer to take some of that work off your shoulders, and how we're going to systemize the collection of feedback to make sure you know if you're doing a good job or not on the experience that you're trying to create so that you earn that high level of referrals in the future. What's next? And then we'll do the fun stuff, and that's really where the referrals can kick in, and that's week 8, and that's when we're talking about the fan club. We'll talk about the 36 touch, the Chabris Group's 45 touch, and we'll talk about client events as well. So what will you get in this class? I am going to give you everything you could possibly want to rip off and duplicate and implement. I'm a big believer in, I love being creative. I love being successful even more. And so what we have, everything that we have is an open book for you guys. So Number one, we're going to start with fostering the right mindset around service, and then you're going to get our entire system. So all the Chabris Group checklists, all of our scripts, all of our dialogues, all the emails and snail mail templates that we use, all the feedback forms that we use, how we use them, and how we do accountability around it. You'll get all of our communication standards, all of our service standards. We'll give you our 40, that's a typo, it should say 45 touch. We'll explain to you how we do our client events, how we do accountability around service. I'll give you the job description for our Chief Experience Officer. And in the middle of the program, I'm going to spend an hour with you guys on some ways that you can provide a higher level fiduciary service, best practices around high level fiduciary service with your clients so that you're not being replaced by technology and so that you are earning that commission and, even more importantly, earning the right to be the captain, to be the leader in that relationship. Because that's where we provide our best value, is when people trust us and are looking for our opinion. We know what we're doing, and we want to make sure that we earn the right to be the leader in their lives, earn that commission, and earn that referral. And so that's what your guys are going to get over the course of this program, as well as a bunch of cheat sheets. What is a cheat sheet? A cheat sheet would be like how to quickly identify behavioral styles when you're in somebody's house. Just real quick and dirty tools that you can use to make sure you're communicating as easily and as efficiently as possible with your prospects and with your clients, and for that matter, with co-ops or anybody else. Why are we doing all this? That you can double your repeat and referral rate over the next 12 months. And for those of you that are already at a high repeat and referral rate, awesome. My goal for you is that you systemize this so that you can expand the number of repeat and referrals that you're doing over the same period of time, since you're naturally just a good relationship person. So guys, that's pretty much the scoop. If you're interested in doubling your referrals over the next year and systemizing a great customer experience, systemizing a more frequent and higher level of repeat referrals, making your business more profitable, and learning how we grew our volume by $16 million in 1 year with 2 less salespeople, please register. I would be grateful for the opportunity to share with you what we've learned and spare you the hassle of figuring it all out and just straight rip off and duplicate what we do. So the URL to register is mapscoaching.kw.com/CX. CX is an acronym for customer experience. And MAPS has been generous enough today to offer a discount code. If you go to this URL and register today, they're doing a 20% discount. So what is that? Usually it's $300. Knock off $60 for $240. You're getting 8 hours of pretty high protein content, as well as all the scripts, dialogues, checklists, surveys, feedback forms, all that stuff to rip off and apply to your individual business or to your team. So we start a week from today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. That's 1 p.m. Central. And I really want to thank you guys for taking a moment to be with me today on this call, or watching it later on if you're watching the recording, and for the opportunity to serve you and help you guys grow your business. So it looks like we may have, that's it. So there's a URL right there. If you guys have any questions, go to kwrevents.kw.com/JDCE7, and you can register there with the code being EB20. So that's the scoop, guys. Thank you for your time today. Again, in that chat box, you can see the URL to register. And thank you. Thank you for your time. And I hope you took something from the seminar, and I look forward to seeing you a week from today.